My name is Brian Coward. I'm the EDM product manager at Makino. I want to welcome everyone today to the Makino Experience Center in Auburn Hills, Michigan. Today we're going to be talking about the new Hyperi wire EDM control. So first I'm going to do a little presentation and we're going to go over some new features of the new Hyperi, as well as the QV Assist window. After my presentation, we're going to go out to the showroom, and Mark Elzenbrook, one of the application engineers here at Makino, is going to give us a demo on the machine. He's going to show us, go through the process of starting a job, and then also highlight some of the features of the QV Assist window. So first, I want to talk about the new features of the new Hyperi control. So right here, you can see in the picture, that's the old Hyperi. It has more of a 3D, complex 3D look. It's more in line with older smartphones and older Windows products. And it has a lower resolution, not quite as sharp. The new Hyperi is right there on the right-hand side. You can see it has a cleaner, more of a 2D look, more in line with new Apple devices and Windows 10. Also on the new control, we unified the color codes of all the alarm and reset messages that you get on the control. On the older control, the color codes were not unified. We've fixed that. And with the new Windows 10 version, you get a much sharper resolution. When you're booting up the machine, we have parallel processing. Well, what does that mean? It means that when the machine's booting up, this boot screen will come up, and once it gets to a certain point in the boot process, you're able to home the machine without waiting for the complete boot of the Hyperi control. So it saves you time during startup. Another new feature is the user profile login window. The old control has a login user profile, but when you would log off, the screen would go blank. With the new Hyperi, I can log off of the control, but the control will remain visible, which allows someone to see what's going on during machining. Next is the alarm message bar. So the alarm message bar has now been moved to the top of the page, used to be at the bottom of the page. This allows the operator to see the alarms much better. It's at a higher, more at eye level. We've also changed the background of the alarm bar, which has made it a brighter yellow, which again allows the operator to see it, especially from a further distance on the opposite side of the shop. There's also been a change in the keyboard design on the new Hyperi. You can see the new one is on the left there, the old one's on the right. And what we've done is we've made the buttons more streamlined and it's easier to use for the operator. Another new feature is the external applications and taskbar. So applications such as this floating keyboard here, or HyperConnect, if you were to have the optional software of HyperConnect, is activated from this taskbar. In the past, you would have to go to a different location on the control to activate it. Right here, it's always in this taskbar, so it makes it convenient for the operator. Next is the light and dark mode that's available based on operator preference. This also can make a difference based on shop lighting. Sometimes if it's too bright, if you had the light mode, you couldn't see the screen very well. So you have the option. Another new feature is the improved icon quality and details. So the machine function buttons are illustrated now with, next to the actual wording of the function to make it easier to understand what that particular function does. The biggest improvement on the new Hyperi versus the old would be the QV Assist window. And the QV Assist window is a quick view dynamic content assistant. So what does that do for me? It's always going to show the relevant information and functions, and will only display items that are required based on the current machine status. It makes it easy to find the information and the functions that the operator would need because it will automatically change as needed. There's no need to search through all the pages. Some functions you would have to go to a screen, page, dialogue, sub-dialogue to get to the particular function you were looking for. Now it's going to automatically come up for the operator. This is a big help to new operators. It's going to assist a new operator in the running of the machine because it makes it much easier for them to learn the control, because the functions that are required based on that machine status will come up automatically for the operator. So that's the end of the quick presentation of showing you what's new with the Hyperi. Now we're going to go out to the showroom and Mark is going to give us a demonstration of this new control. So Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Brian. So what we're going to be looking at today is the Hyperi control and really how we've updated it, mainly focusing on this assist panel. Okay, so depending on what screen we're on, what part of the operation we're in, this assist panel is going to change to assist us in the operation of running the machine. So right now on the preparation page, what it's showing us is our major consumables, how much life is left on them. It's also going to show us when we last ran our taper jig. And our taper jig includes vertical alignment, taper compensations, all of that. And then also when we last ran our tension calibration as well. So it's important to make sure we maintain those things, check them every month or so to make sure that they're staying up to date. So moving over to the setup page, here it's going to show us, we call it a macro panel. Okay, so this is going to show us any additional settings that are associated with the pickup cycle that is highlighted. So as I shift between these, we can see it changes depending. For this particular part, we're going to do a whole pickup. Okay, so here we can select possibly additional approach lengths. If we want to clock our rotation, we can index it 45 degrees, so I'll put a 45 in there, and then we'll run our pickup. Okay, so once our pickup cycle is done, we can go to the run screen, and this is going to show us our manual mode panel. And on this one, it's going to show us where we can set our soft limits, assist with any manual functions that we need to set before we start machining. So if I turn on my positive X limit, I can see here that it turns on the red line. It shows me where that limit is within our workspace. Okay, it also shows us our Z position and also what our machine Z coordinate is as well. So I'm going to return our head back to our work position. And we can see here, we can actually physically see where our head is and where it moved to. All right, once we're in position, I can take the machine out of manual mode, and this is going to be our pre-machining panel. Okay, so I'm going to load in our program. Once it's loaded in, I'm going to hit auto scale. It's going to refresh the graphics. It's going to show me how much wire length this specific job is going to use, the machining time, and then also, again, the major consumables at any point during that cycle time if we're going to run out of them. So now I'm going to pick the door up and we can run our program. So once I hit start on the hand box, the assist panel is going to change to the machining panel, and it's going to show us our total machining time, our estimated time until our next stop. So in this case, in our program, we have an M01. It's going to stop at that. It also gives us the ability to turn on different functions that might assist with starting our program, such as the approach function. So that's going to dial all of our settings back for a set amount of distance. It's going to help the wire ease into the workpiece. All right, so now that we're well into the cut, let's see what would happen if we accidentally broke wire or if we ran out of wire, what would happen. So here we have a wire break. We can see here that the assist panel changed to what we're going to call the machine alarm panel. Okay, so in the machine alarm panel, it's going to show us any alarms that come up, and then also a variety of different functions that are going to assist depending on the issue that happened. So what we had was a wire break. What I can do is turn on return wire break. But if this was, wire replacement, say our spool of wire ran out, these are the buttons and the functions that we would need to replace the spool of wire. Same thing with our filters. If our filters ran out, we would use these buttons to replace them. So I'm going to turn on return wire break and hit the start button. Okay, so this is going to be our operator stop panel. Okay, so with this, it's going to show us different functions for a scenario where we would stop the program, where the operator would want to either place a magnet, remove a slug, different functions like that. So the first one being the cutoff function. This is going to lower our flushing pressure, again, dial back our settings so that we don't get a lot of turbulence when we're trying to cut off our slug. We can also turn on our lower flushing for our slug removal. Okay? And additional settings just for different threading applications. If we do have any issues with the wire brake, this will also assist with that. So I'm going to hit the start button and continue our program. All right, so as we finish up our program here, we're again going to see our assist panel transition to our post-machining information. So here we have our total machining time and any stops that we may have had in there. So it tells us, breaks it up, how the machining process went. Total machining time, machining path, wire consumption, and then also the number of wire breaks that also occurred. So all this information can actually be exported and saved, so you can look at this, along the line. If this job comes up again, you can compare data. So that concludes our demonstration of the new Hyperi control and our assist panel. I'm going to send it back to Brian for any closing questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Now, Mark and myself are available for any questions that you might have concerning the new Hyperi control.
Okay. Thank you, Mark, for that presentation. So right now, myself and Anthony Colaluca, another application engineer here at Makino, are available for any questions that you might have. If you look at your screen here, there is a chat function and a Q&A area there that you could click on and ask any questions that you may have. Either one of those locations, you could type in any question that you may have concerning the Hyperi control, and we are here to answer those questions for you.
So I get a pretty common one, especially from customers that are switching from the old to the new Hyperi. Usually it's, are any of my buttons changing, any of the spots on the control, how's the learning curve going to be? Will my cutoff function still be in the same place? Will approach still be in the same place, et cetera, et cetera? And there is really no big learning curve. And all those functions are also in the same place. You're not going to go to the run screen, look for cutoff, and it's not going to be there. Now with the QV Assist panel, it's all just right on the side. So you can still go to run, interrupt to find the cutoff function, or, finalize to find approach. But with the machine running and QV Assist, all that stuff's right there. So that's a pretty common one. Learning curve, super low. If you know the old Hyperi, you know how to use this as well.
Yep, and that's a good point, Anthony. I find myself doing the same thing. Is I'm so used to the control and where the buttons are that I found myself not using the QV Assist window or forgetting about the QV Assist window, and I would go to other location, the original location for the button, and then I have to stop and think. I'm like, okay, well, I just did 3 screen strokes to get to that button, and the button's already there on the window for me. So that was the big advantage of QV Assist. So that was kind of really the only learning curve, is to teach myself to utilize the functions that are available to you to make it quicker to run the machine.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, looks like we got a question here in the Q&A. Let's take a look. Is this part of an update for all Hyperi machines? Well, that's a very good question. This control can only be put on Hyperi machines. Right now, it's just the wire EDM machine, so the sinker hasn't been updated yet. But for wire machines with Hyperi, it can only go on machines that have the Windows 10 operating system. So if you have a Windows 7 operating system, this software will not work. If you have a Windows 10 operating system, then yes, this could be updated on your machine. And that's a great question, because that's a question we do get a lot. Doesn't look like we have any more questions here. Do you have any other ones, Anthony?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
To bounce off the last one,
Yep. Oh, froze up, Anthony.
on your wires is above Windows 10. If you go to maintenance version info, there's an OS version section right there that will tell you. So if it says, I think below 8 or 7 or 8, or if it's above 7 or 8, then you can use the new Hyperi. But that's all.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Okay. So if we don't have any more questions, then I want to thank everyone for taking some time to spend with us today. If anything comes up and you have any kind of questions at all, please feel free to contact me or anyone at Makino, your local representative, and we can answer any questions that you might have concerning the Hyperi control. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.